everything's on. There we go. Hello, everyone. This is definitely a later one. Definitely a larger chat than normal. And we apologise to other people who need to go to sleep and do things tomorrow. We do too. Most of us do. Right, we've got on the chat. We'll go over quickly. We have Phil. Sit underneath my name.
Hello.
Phil's here. Mike is here.
Hello.
One sec. Hang on a minute. There we go. I know I didn't do something. Mike is there.
Hello.
Pink is here.
Hi, everyone.
Steve.
Hello.
And David, who isn't on
Hello.
camera. All right, so there's 6 of us tonight. Now, we were just chatting away on our normal hobby hangout anyway. We decided that we may as well go live because we were just talking about a bunch of stuff, and we thought, why not put it on the internet and get other people's opinions as well? Because there's a lot of back and forth on the internet about this already. We can get some discussion in the chat. We can get some discussion in the comments afterwards, and it's just interesting to talk about and exciting as well. So what are we talking about? We are talking about the news from Games Workshop. So it's the 8th edition changes that Games Workshop are putting into place for Warhammer 40k. We're going to go over the stuff that they've already done an FAQ on, talk about the map and the announcements itself. And I think we're going to start with Phil doing a little bit of a chat about it initially. So do you want to go over the announcement, what the announcement was, or like for the first part, Phil?
Well, yeah, I mean, the announcement itself has been covered quite heavily, I think, by a lot of other channels, and everybody's probably seen it by now. So the big announcement was, of course, a new 8th edition of Warhammer 40k. And it was everything we've been apparently asking for. I mean, this is the interesting one, isn't it? Engagement with the social media, engagement with the user base, engagement with everybody online. And what they've done is taken all of that, which have lessons from Age of Sigmar, applied it to Warhammer 40k, and have announced the 8th edition. What's familiar? All the codexes are gone. We're going to have a free set of rules. Feels familiar. We're going to have rules to play every single faction straight away from day one. Feels familiar. They haven't destroyed the universe. Okay. Well, you know, we all know how the fantasy fans reacted to that. And then there's a few other things. And I think we can go through the FAQ. I think it's been covered, and we'll see if we get time tonight. But that spurred a conversation of why does change create such a reaction amongst the community, really? And we were all discussing as a group, you know, what impact that could have on us, really. And, you know, my day job, part of what I do is we instigate change in businesses. I'm not going to go too much into it because I don't like to bring my day job into it, but essentially we specialize in disruptive strategies. So we come in and we change things. And one of the things I was saying is this is classic change management and reaction to change. And what you find is change comes more rapid nowadays. So we feel it more. It's more intensive. And people can break down roughly, and there's a bunch of theory on this, but people break down roughly into 3 groups. You have the blockers, which sit at the end of the scale. And you know, if you were going to talk percentages, which is always dangerous, 5% of the people will never accept the change. Simple as that. 20% of the people, they will accept change, but only when there's no other option whatsoever. So there's 25% of the people over there acting as blockers, if you like, to change. Over on this side of things, we've got champions. And again, roughly breaks down to 25% of the people, really. 20% of those, they get included at the first opportunity. They want to get on board. They want to try it. 5% of those people will lead from the front. They'll accept that change straight away, and they will go for it. And like I say, traditionally you describe these people as champions. You know, they're the ones you really want to foster, if you like, and lead forward. And, you know, everybody's easy on math. 25% at one end of the scale, 25% at the other end of the scale. What does that leave in the middle? There's about 50% of most people in change management that will essentially see what happens. They're the classic go with the flows. Let's just see what happens. And we've seen this in Sigmar. We saw champions at the start that said, I'm ready for a change, and this is fantastic, and I love it. We definitely saw the never change, you know, famously the burning of the army online, you know, and I think there's still a whole bunch of people. There's 20% out there, 25% are still there who just won't even try a game of Sigmar. We saw the champions who said, I want to try something new. And I think, and then there was those let's get included at the first opportunity, they were grabbed by interesting new factions, interesting new armies that brought people on board. And then there was that big chunk in the middle, and we're still seeing that migration now of people who said, well, let's just see what happens. And they see a couple of games and they go, well, that's interesting. And we've even seen chat online when we've done our battle reports of people saying, yeah, that's interesting. It's actually not what I expected. And it's more tactical than I expected. And it's different tactics, but it's more than I expected. And they're slowly starting to adopt. So, here we are again in a world of Warhammer 40k, and that led us to a discussion of saying, so where are we all? And Sam, I mean, if you had to categorize yourself as a blocker or a champion, whereabouts would you sit yourself?
I would say I'm a mega champion.
So you're in that. You're classically in that top 5% of lead the change.
I'm going to go through the comments in a minute as well, because there's quite a lot of really awesome stuff there. We're going to go through who's watching, but there's been a lot of stuff that I haven't liked about Warhammer 40k at the moment already. I don't want to be... I'm not trying to be negative about it, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't like about 40k currently. There's a lot of stuff, as you know, that I love about Age of Sigmar since they've done the points, since they've updated it, and I'm really into that system. And I'm really, really excited for them to do a similar sort of thing for 40k 8th edition. And there's a couple of things that I'm not happy about the way that they're doing it, which we'll talk about when we go through the FAQ. Mainly to do with the books, but that's not for me. Again, it's not going to affect me, but I can understand where the people's negativity comes from, so we'll talk about that. But I'm definitely a mega champion. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm looking forward to everything that's going to be coming out with 8th edition. There's going to be new armies, there's going to be new background and fluff on the Age of Sigmar level, but obviously there's a bigger fan base for it, so it's going to be exciting.
Well, we've got a big crowd on the chat tonight, because this is basically what you going probably for the first time is kind of like our offline hobby hangout. This is a group of gamers that we've played with over the years, and we bicker and fight and we have fun together, and we fall out and then we play a great game and have fun again. So I'm going to quickly go down that list of people then. Yeah. If I was, and one sentence, guys, because we know that it's late, although it's early for some people. We've had someone in the chat saying it's only 6 p.m. over here, so maybe we could go on for 3 hours. Quickly running down the chat group, and maybe in order. So I'm seeing David, who is there still. David?
Yep, still here.
So whereabouts would you sit on that scale, and what would be your either optimism or caution at this stage?
I'm quite optimistic about change, because I really, really love what they did with Age of Sigmar, obviously. Initially, I was not fond of the Age of Sigmar change, but overall I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to what GW can do, knowing what they now know about Age of Sigmar and what they learned and took away from that.
I mean, that's a good point, and we'll return back to that, because I think lessons learned, although lessons, by the way, lessons learned, learnings. You can say lessons learned, you can't say learnings. That's not a real word.
Let's get on with it.
Matt, where are you?
Yeah, I think I'm massively up for this. As someone who collects Blood Angels and Orcs, I think time to roll the dice and see if we can do things a bit more fairly.
Yeah, you'll feel it more than anything, but that's great.
I hope so.
That's awesome. Cool, Mike.
I'm looking forward to it, to be honest, because it got to the point, because of playing Eldar, that it was always you just got a filthy army. And I'm hoping everyone gets on an even playing field from it. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, you and Matt kind of represent the opposite ends of the spectrum there, don't you? I mean, I'm with you, by the way. I'm tired of playing Eldar and having to excuse myself. I'm really sorry I'm playing Eldar. I've done my best to make it fun for you.
Sorry, okay. I won again.
Sam, we've heard from Sam. So that just leaves Steve. Steve?
Well, I think I'm pretty much kind of waiting to see what happens before I kind of draw an opinion on it, because the change is inevitable, so there's no point getting upset or excited over the change. I'm just waiting to see what happens. If it goes along the lines of what they did with Sigmar, I reckon it's going to be quite good for the game. It's definitely a good business move, I do believe. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I'm on the fence and waiting to see what happens.
Okay, so given the chat's going crazy, Sam, can I
I
come
was
back
gonna-
to you? Because hopefully you've had chance to flip through that. Do you want to pick up some bits from the chat? And
I was
then
going
we'll go
to,
forward from
yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people watching. I'm just going to go through some of the new people. So acknowledge everybody who's in there as well, because we don't want to just, it's not just us six on here. There's all of you guys and girls that are on the chat as well. So that's why we're doing it online. That's the whole point. So I'm just going to run down, pick out any comments. If I don't go through all of them, and if you've got some questions, we'll go through it another time as well. So John Booth is in. We've got Tabletop War James, John Snater, Kablams. Where else have we got? Wargaming Wizard. Nice one, dude. Thanks for joining.
12 Neef is a new name I've seen, though. Hi, 12. 12 Neef.
Alwood's Modelling Mayhem. There's loads of people. For a random thing, again, it's brilliant that so many people are just turning up. 12 Neef from Brooklyn. So, I mean, this is the other thing. We've got more Americans joining us. Lord Tattoo, Mr. Cragum. Right, we've got some questions. So, John Snater, he's saying a bit irritated basically that the books aren't valid, which is, I'm going to pick this point up now, I think. He's saying he thinks it's wrong to release late books like Traitor Legion, Imperial Agents when they knew it's only valid for a very few months. That's a bit naughty. And this is the similar sort of thing they did with Age of Sigmar, which I think had the biggest backlash when they released the End Times campaign, and they had all of these big massive tomes that came out, and they weren't cheap. There were some of them like 80 quid or 100 quid for the limited editions. There was a big deal around collecting these limited edition books, and I know they said, oh, it's the End Times, you could have read into that, but we're in a game where everything's fighting each other on on a daily basis, so calling something the End Times could just be the stage that it's at before it's saved or something. So getting away with that and then just deleting all of the books and having no use for them is annoying. And the other side of that, people don't necessarily need to flip over to the new system. They might want to play End Times. They might want to play that rule set. So it's not a huge waste, but it's very misleading to a point.
Yeah, I think I want to come in there. I utterly appreciate, because I've actually just bought a codex.
Yeah.
So, literally 2 days ago. So the question is what is and isn't invalid. What we're going to get when 40k 8th edition comes out is essentially the new stat lines for the army, because we know the stat lines are changing. We knew that was coming. Move was getting introduced. Variable move was introduced. Save is going to have a different mechanic. So stat lines are going to change. I think really when I take out my Eldar Codex, my Dark Angel Codex, there's a whole list of them over there. When I take that Codex out and flip through the book, it's probably the back 10, 15, 20 pages that are now invalid. The fluff stands. They're moving the story forward, but, not significantly, I don't think. There's still the background and the history that stands. The stat lines are changing, and guess what? That's what they're providing to us. We're going to get all of that. Okay, it's annoying. I can't exactly take those, print them out, cut out the last 20 pages of my codex and stick them in and feel like I've still, got value for money out of that book.
It depends what you buy books for, because in the past I've only ever bought books for rules.
Yeah.
You've bought it for the background, but I never in the past really bothered about the background. I've only recently started looking at the books and spending more time on the story and the artwork than I did with the rules, and that's only a recent thing. So there's a lot of people out there who buy the book to play the game, and from that side of things, they bought a book that's useless. They bought Traitor Legions thinking, oh, here we go, we've got a really cool update for this army, and now it's like, well, I'm not going to use it unless you look at the background and the fluff. So that's, I think, the where the irritation will come from.
Let's throw that one. Throw that one to the group then. So Steve, go on.
I'm definitely on the same fence with Sam here. I mean, when the End Times came out, I brought all the End Times limited edition books, mainly for the rules. It's only recently, because obviously Sigmar's come out, that I've actually started looking for the fluff. But, I was a bit annoyed because I believe, wasn't it like less than 6 months from the last End Times book that Sigmar came in? Am I right there, or is someone correct me?
It was released in like April, and then June was when Age of Sigmar was released. I think there was only a couple of months before the end of End Times and the start of Sigmar. It was similar to this.
That was quite annoying. I mean, I just spent £110 on the last book to complete the collection, and then suddenly, bam, new system. So I do kind of sympathise with that a lot. But like you said, there's all the artwork, there's all the fluff, all the story, all that in there. I'm still reading through these books today, and Sigmar's been out for a while now. So I don't think I've wasted any money. I do think I've got a lot out of it. I also recently bought the Angel's Blade book for my Blood Angels faction. So I mean that's going to be soon. I mean that's not even a year old, and that's going to be invalid soon. So, but it's still a beautiful book, and there's so much fluff in there. I haven't even started reading it, and probably went until halfway through 8th edition.
Craig's put up a point, actually, just looking through this. Neanderthal's on the chat, and Caesar as well. I just wanted to chuck their names in because I didn't say them before. And Green Stuff World. Is it Green Stuff World?
Green Stuff Games.
It's
all right, it's late night.
Because I've had Green Stuff Worlds chatting to them as well. Craig's put, interested to see how they will be showing the background and the fluff without the books. I think they're going to do exactly the same as they've done with Age of Sigmar, which is make them even better. The books have got even better with Age of Sigmar. Initially there was a bunch of updates with free rules, free points and all that sort of stuff. And then they did the new hardback books, which have completely been filled with new artwork and new background. So I think they'll just follow that.
We were talking about this yesterday, and on the drive down to Salute, where you were flipping through the Caradron Overlord's book, and there's even a section on tactics, and that's what's great about that. You've got the background fluff, you've got how to play them, how to paint them. Then the rules are in the back, but the rules are available in a whole bunch of different ways. I'll welcome that. I still understand people's frustration, if you like, over this whole idea of investment, because I mean that's what it feels like, isn't it? We don't just invest money in this stuff. You spend money, you spend time and effort as well, and you invest emotionally into these things. So when it changes, it feels like a betrayal at some point. But I think there's a reasonable question to ask at this stage: what else could Games Workshop do? Stop business for 6 months, stop moving forward for 6 months on the basis of saying, well, we've got to stack everything up until everything's ready. And I don't think that's not an option available to a commercial business. You've got to keep trading, and I do appreciate the frustration. All I'm saying is there's also a commercial reality to what they have to do.
Yep, a little bit of a silver lining to this one as well is that it looks like all of the updated rules, they're obviously going to have to be available day one, otherwise people won't be able to play the game. And it looks like they're going to give them to you for free. So whilst your old books might not be valid anymore, at least for a little while, you're not going to get charged for any new ones. So it's not like it's cost you anything extra.
Well, that was the big thing with Age of Sigmar. When we were talking about that, when they updated the rules, everything became instantly a lot more balanced than it ever was in Fantasy. And everybody had updates to armies that they hadn't had for years. And there's things like Tyranids and Orcs which need updates. All of those sort of armies are going to get an update on the same day and be able to be played. You can walk into Games Workshop, choose your army, and start playing maybe on the same level as an Eldar Wraith army. We don't know.
Can I just say we've had a couple of good late comments just come. When I say late comments, I mean recent comments just come in. Happy Dapper, hello, Happy Dapper. To be honest, with the new edition and progressing the fluff, I think it allows all sorts of models to be released. Here's open for Aston Militarium, Steel Legion, Talans, and the Valahans. And then is it Rattle Mike? Sorry if I've not got that quite right. It's well-known fact that the game changes, rule books, codexes. I don't understand the rages. Well, we talked a little bit just a few minutes ago. That reaction, whilst personally I don't understand it. I've always been an early adopter. I've been an early adopter of technology. I'm old enough to know when the internet didn't exist. I've always been an early adopter. I've been excited by change, and I hope that stays with me. I hope I don't get to the point where I freak out at change, if you like.
You did initially freak out when they were putting all of this new update on the table. I remember having to almost comfort you when you were freaking out. You were like, "Don't ruin the game. This is my game. This is my 40k and stuff."
Yeah, I think to be clear, what I didn't want is a sci-fi version of Age of Sigmar. That's what I was saying. I said there was a uniqueness, and I think you're right. By the way, Sam, I think I'm lying a little bit here to myself and to you. I was having a little bit of a rant. But at the same time, I think what I was saying is I don't want to just play Age of Sigmar with a different set of models. That was my point. I want to feel like I'm playing two different games, and I like Age of Sigmar. I've come to actually love Age of Sigmar. But I was definitely bear in mind that my last fantasy edition was 3rd edition, so I wasn't one of the 8th editions that worried. But I kind of sat on the fence and just said it looks a bit skirmishy, it looks a bit light. I'll kind of stay away from that. Boy, was I wrong. I should have jumped on that bandwagon a lot sooner. So
we'll talk about the character side of things in a minute, because that's quite interesting, and then we'll actually delve into the actual FAQ. We're going to talk about that. So we're going to talk about the characters in a moment. I'm just going to go to Mike actually, because Mike's very similar to you with being worried about the changes between 40k and Age of Sigmar, weren't you, Mike?
Yeah, well, mine was the same as Phil. I didn't want a carbon copy for 40k. I wanted there to be some sort of difference, and it's looking like there's going to be some sort of difference with it. It's not going to be quite as simple as Age of Sigmar, which is something I'm quite happy about.
Age of Sigmar is not simple.
But
but you know what I mean, though.
I know what you mean. I'm winding you up.
Yeah, Mike's spot on though. I think they tried to reassure that. I mean, I'm just jumping quickly into change management. People resist change for all sorts of reasons. One of them is the vision isn't clear. I think they've tried to address that. They've said what they're trying to do. They're trying to react to the community and make things clearer. No one's outlined the change, what would mean for them in practice. I think they've tried to address that really quickly early on in the FAQ. It's like they've read the manual on change management this time. Communication poor. No, they can't argue that. Daily, there's a release. There's a release today on the new map of the environment.
Didn't you send that to them though? That change management email you were going on about. You were like, I'll just send it to them just to make sure.
I don't think they listened, but at one of the Warhammer World Open days, I started banging on about it from the audience, and you could see them all go, "Oh Christ!"
Yeah. If you see, if you come into Warhammer Fest this year, Phil will be off in the distance, just rounding up Games Workshop staff, trying to explain to them how things work, and they'll be ignoring him, walking away.
One of the other big things is they're in their comfort zone, and I think that's the other thing. I think people who have enjoyed having powerful armies will worry.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm one of those people who haven't enjoyed having a powerful army.
Okay.
Let's go quickly through the comments, because it's going like crazy at the moment, and I do want to make sure we're including other people. So I apologise for the massive group that's online with us, and thank you very much. We'll try and keep jumping in as well with you guys. But Sam, do you want to pick
the characters? So my concern is losing characters who have enjoyed. I like using Pask for my guard, and I know with Sigmar some heroes got taken away. Yeah, and we'll just go through some more. So Kiblams, I lost characters when they released the newest Dark Eldar Codex that I had made custom models for. That already happened. Steve's already said about Vect. People weren't happy about losing Vect. Now, in terms of characters being lost, some characters have been removed but then put back into the game, or there's the potential to be put back into the game. The other thing is, are you bothered about having special characters for it, or did you want to use that character? If you've made a special character and you've got a Dark Eldar Archon, could you use that Dark Eldar Archon as Vect and still use him in the game? You've still got the background, you know what Vect is, you know what the story is. I can understand that they've removed him from the codex, so if you had some nice rules, you're going to be irritated about that. But on a fluff basis, you can still play that character in your army. There is still a profile which you can use. It's not as unique as having the character rules, but that was my thought behind that, because I've had characters from my Age of Sigmar, my 8th edition fantasy armies deleted, and I was in love with some of those characters. I absolutely loved them, but then I thought, well, you know what, I'll just play them anyway. I've got the characters, I'll use it.
I was the same on that one. I mean, losing Vlad from fantasy when it went into Sigma, Vlad was one of my favourite heroes. I loved all of his fluff, his background and everything, and the way he played in the game. And I think the issue with Vect was on his very own kind of custom Ravager. But saying that, I mean, I did see some on Facebook earlier from Warhammer, the Warhammer guys, saying that they did hint at that some of the old classic models may be making a return in 8th edition. So we'll just have to wait and see.
In terms of rules, when Sigmar was released, there were war scrolls for models that hadn't been available for years. So things like Wood Elf chariots, and they put that in the back of the war scroll lists, which they gave out for free, which allowed you to use models that they didn't even sell anymore. So potentially they might put in a rule set for Vect, or they might put in a rule set for a 40k model that you've not been able to use, and then you can use it in the new edition. We don't know. I don't think it's a bad thing. Well, so we've got Now Gaming Live's joined. Hello, Now Gaming Live.
Hello.
We have Wargaming Wizard. Just like to say well done to Wargamer Online for being a breath of fresh air. Well done, guys. Thank you very much for that. We are trying very hard to put out content. Some of it is Games Workshop related, some of it is not, and we're just doing what people want, as well as enjoying it ourselves. We've got to do our hobby at the same time. Shall we go on to the FAQ? Because
Yes.
that's what we're
Why
here to
not?
talk about. We're 30 minutes in, and we've just been talking about an initial, what's going on. So we'll start with the FAQ. So we can go through these quite quickly as well. So I'm just going to put this in. Actually, Kidlams has just said you're so optimistic, Sam. There you go, Phil.
You're in that top 5%. You are the classic enthusiast, and I think there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. And you are no more disillusioned or delusioned than anybody else. There are just some people who see change as an opportunity, and I think that's what you see. You've struggled with 40k for a while. We've seen you throwing yourself at Age of Sigmar, and we see that engagement and enthusiasm in Age of Sigmar. You love it.
Yeah.
You playing a 40k game, and you struggled with it. So for you, inside that enthusiast is you get a buzz from challenge.
I'm looking forward to
New
playing
sense
40k.
of direction, and that's you. That's what it is. So
I'm just going to quickly go. I know I said we're going to move on, but I quite like this. 12 Neve said it's the grim dark. Shouldn't characters die? Otherwise, there's no stakes in the universe. Yes, very good point.
It's a good point. It's a really good point.
I wish for a less model count. Big fan of first and second edition. Less models in the game, please. The game is too crowded. So yeah, some people like characters being killed. Others don't. They're never going to be happy. Now Gaming Live is heading off. Got school tomorrow. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, cheers, man.
Let's get through some of this. So, is my army still valid? Yes, it certainly is. You'll still be able to use your army in the new edition of Warhammer 40k. All current armies will be supported with new rules, so that's the big one. They're not going to delete any armies like Tomb Kings got deleted, and Bretonia in Age of Sigmar. So, I say deleted, they still had war scrolls, but they didn't update them, and they removed the model line. So, you can still play Bretonia and Tomb Kings now, and they are very popular on the tournament scene. But they're not releasing models for them at the moment. Anybody got anything to say about that? Or are we all happy with the fact that everyone's army is available to be used?
Yeah, I'm fine with it. But guys, I've said loads.
I think I'm quite happy with it, to be honest. Yeah, that's always one thing that any time that when there's big changes of rules that people are going to worry about is that their army's going to go, just because obviously what happened with Age of Sigmar.
I know but everyone spent time on these armies. That emotional attachment to the background and stuff. There's a lot more of an attachment to the amount of time you put into doing an army and building models and painting them. There's a lot more to that. So I think deleting an army and deleting models that you've had a use for is definitely a lot worse.
The only thing I'd say is take this one with a little bit of a pinch of salt. Whilst they say that all armies will still be valid, if you play something like Militarum Tempestus, I wouldn't really be surprised if it got rolled up into Astra Militarum, but then it just was a valid formation, say.
Yes.
But perhaps nothing immediately.
I'm just setting my mic.
Yeah, because that was the thing, wasn't it? Age of Sigmar. Yeah, it's okay, Sam. There's a bit of a booming noise. I think it might be your mic boom. I think that was the whole point when they launched Age of Sigmar. There literally was the data for every single army, wasn't it? Including Tomb Kings. Was that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And and yet they went away eventually.
Well, like I said, they're still available to use. They just don't have the models. And that goes on to the next one. Can I still use all my models? Yes, every 40k model we sell today will be usable in the new edition. What's more, they'll be supported with new rules, which will be available from the get-go in low-cost book. It says low-cost books, so it might not be free like they did the Age of Sigmar. However, they did the Destruction, Chaos, Order, and Death compendiums, which were really cheap. Like you pay £10 for all of the Destruction.
And do you think they've hinted at those factions, by the way, because that was in there in that community image, wasn't it? Which basically said Chaos, Marines, and
I was going to say glad you changed that. I thought you were going to say Chaos, Order, Death, and Destruction.
No, it was. I think it was Chaos, Imperium, and Xenos is how they'd grouped it on that community.
Yeah, Chaos, Imperium, and Xenos.
On that 40k bitch, yeah.
Which is cool. 3 factions is quite nice. They can break that down even more.
3 big bucks could live with that.
I've
I've got to buy all 3.
Well, we'll buy everything, I think. I think 40k is that game that Wargaming Online is going to do a lot of. Like, we're delving into games that aren't Games Workshop. We've been doing Age of Sigmar because I love it so much. However, 40k, there's most of the people in this chat is completely on board 40k. We're all really looking forward to starting new armies for the new edition, and there's going to be a lot of content coming forwards on building armies, playing the game, and learning the game as a group together again. So there's going to be a lot of really cool content for that, which is what I'm most excited for. So we go to the next question, or do we want to go over anything else? Anybody got anything to say about
before we jump in? Let's just quickly try and keep up with chat before we get left behind. So we've got a couple of things in there. I think 12 Neef says, let's stop the broken psychic phase. I think, right, let's see some balance in phase again. I'm absolutely with you on that one. Guys, I never saw myself returning to 40k, but this has got me excited. That's great. That's good. And I think the one thing Games Workshop have recognised is people have been slowly drifting. They've been slowly drifting away from 40k. It's just, I have to say, there's been times where I've just felt so tired. I can't keep up with the books. You know, you're playing against someone and it's like they're talking a different language because there's so many rules that's overlaid. McCracken, like to keep it, perhaps hope for sisters. Come on, sisters and squats, let's do it. 3 sections, Imperium Chaos Xenos. There's a couple of people saying they like that idea, so that's great. I did see one, but it's dashed up there. What else is there? I think, morning everyone. Hey, 33 Clay Dog, that's cool. Morning. I'm glad it's early for you. It's late for us, but let's just, it's a 24/7 kind of world we live in now, isn't it? Don't stop Age of Sigmar. No, we won't be stopping Age of Sigmar. We are enthusiastic about 40k. We're enthusiastic about LART. Sam loves his Age of Sigmar. To be honest, my Sylvaneth army hasn't really featured yet at the moment, and I really enjoy playing those. And my son, Jack, who's been on a battle report, has just finished his... somebody help me out.
Ghouls, Crypt Ghouls.
Crypt Ghouls.
Flesh Eater Courts.
Lots more to come.
Yeah.
Flesh Eaters. Thank you very much, Steve.
And there's a lot of others as well, like Steve's just finished his first part of his zombie death army, so Steve's got that to come on the battle report, so we're going to do something with that. Mike's got his Skaven, which is looking insane as well. It's going to be interesting seeing a horde of Steve's zombies fighting a horde of Mike's rats.
I am hoping to get them rats out sooner rather than later. It's just taking me a bit of time.
I'm looking forward to seeing those Skaven. I'm looking forward to seeing.
We've got Pink, who's on we've done a battle report me and Pink did last week. It's gone up today on the website. So if you're not a premium member already, go over to the website. If you want to see some more Age of Sigmar, that was a really fun battle report for both of us, wasn't it, Pink? No spoilers, but how fun was that game?
Yeah, no, it was really fun. It was very short. It was very fun.
Are we calling you Pink on the chat? Is that okay? Is it? Which
It's
name
fine.
are we using? Because I've used both names now.
His name's Pink.
Whatever comes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave, what are you playing for Age of Sigmar? We'll go back onto 40k in a second, but quickly, Dave, for Age of Sigmar.
Savage Orcs.
Savage Orcs. So we've got more Orcs. Orcs are the best.
Savage Orcs. No, Savage Orcs.
We have Rachel's joined the chat. Hello, Rachel. Are you going to turn the chat into food? Please don't.
I can't believe she's still awake. Well done, Rachel. She worked so hard on Saturday.
We have more people. Oliver Martinez Castillo. Welcome to the chat. Katie Hunter, sup from Canada. I'm home with cramps. This is making me feel better. I am glad this is helping you, Katie. Thank you for joining us. Let us know what you think about 40k as well. Updated. Claydog, I am starting Nurgle armies in both AOS and 40k. Another one. Another one for the chaos. This is the thing. We're going to do another separate video. This is our Hangout. So we're sorry if this is kind of a bit random. We're just talking nonsense some of the time. We're going to do a separate video which is going to talk about what armies we're all going to do. We're going to do a Tale of Warlords for Wargamer Online. And we're all going to be picking armies and factions and recording our process. And we're going to get as many people involved in the community as possible with that. And follow logs alongside as well.
But back to 40k, Sam.
Back to 40k. There's so much. The thing is, it's so linked in a way with the way that the rules work and with the way that Games Workshop's going forwards that it's difficult to talk about 40k without including Age of Sigmar. And I love Age of Sigmar. Anyway, Harud, yes, Dark Eldar. So Kate's put Dark Eldar since third. Knows the pain literally. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I mean, I described this earlier, isn't there? People at different ends of the spectrum in terms of accepting change and worrying about change and those kind of things. I think there are people at different ends of the spectrum in terms of Warhammer 40k as well. There are those people who've got Orcs and Dark Eldar and some of the factions that have just really, really struggled in the new meta, and or the changing meta. And then you've got people, and like I said, honestly, Eldar and Mike's expressed this as well, having to apologize for your army just because it's become really ludicrously powerful. So we're all hoping for, and there was a comment much earlier in the chat, so apologies if I can't scroll back up and find out who it was, but says, I'm hoping for some balance now. I think we're all hoping for balance in the force on this one.
Well, I'm gonna jump in on that one as well as far as now, because that was one of the big problems with the Eldar, is that they got a new dex, which made them even better. And then it was like a year later, I think, then they were getting a new dex, and everyone's like, right, okay, they'll tone them down now. They did the opposite. They boosted them even more, and it's just like, oh, everyone just hates me now. It's difficult to get a game.
I so remember that. I remember the day it came out, and it was just like, hey, guess what? Everything gets D-weapons. I mean, it wasn't, but it just felt like that, wasn't it? It was like, oh.
It was funny, thanks. But then quickly sunk in that, oh god, everyone, this just isn't going to be fun for anyone to play now. So hopefully with these new changes that they do, that everything is on that same playing field now. So then everyone will be happy.
Yeah.
Like,
quickly onto the FAQs then. Even Forge World models was one of the FAQs. In other words, this was an extension of can I still use my models? Yes, even your Warhammer 40,000 Forge World models. Interesting distinction there, of course. Back in the day when there was a real focus on Apocalypse on Warhammer 40k, there were Forge World models that were 40k legal, and then there were Forge World models that were only Apocalypse legal. I mean, Apocalypse is interesting. I don't think anybody, other than seeing the games, it doesn't really get mentioned very much. So 40k Forge World models, maybe they're just talking about the genre, but strange how it got into the sentence, and we should be careful not to overread into these things.
Yep.
What did you do? Blow up the universe? No, we didn't do this. We're advancing the story. That's what we've seen in Gathering Storm. I don't think we need to cover that. We all know how that feels at the moment. Gilliman's back. There's been plenty of chat about that. There's rumors of the new Space Marines. I was chatting to someone today, and they were saying that those new Space Marines are definitely real. That graphic is gone. I'm not 100% certain on that image, but the new Space Marines are coming. I think from what I understand, we're going to see those as more or less an elite faction that you can add to your existing Space Marine chapter. And then this is the interesting point. Not all chapters are going to accept these new Space Marines. I think it's a safe bet to say Ultramarines are going to accept them. But yeah, I mean, Space Marine players amongst the online chat at the moment, what do you think to that? What happens if you've got a faction that won't accept the new guys?
What, you mean like Chaos? I think Chaos would accept them if these special Space Marines just were created and Gilliman said, right, let's go fight, and the Chaos gods just say, come over here a minute, and then just take them all. I think that would be even better.
I know what this means. This means if you play Space Wolves, if you play Dark Angels, if you play Blood Angels, this might be another toy that you don't get. I hope I'm wrong about that.
Yeah,
you're thinking, because what are you referring to there? Are you referring to the
Centurions?
Centurions. Yeah.
Well, I mean, saying that, they have everything else. Space Wolves have got Thunder Wolves, Fenrisians. Dark Angels have got all their different bikes and all their different land speeders and stuff. Blood Angels have had they were the only ones to get the Storm Raven, was it initially?
Initially.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that they've all had their own unique chapter-specific models. So it'd be interesting if they do chapter-specific elite units in this new Space Marine armor. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say to you guys, I hadn't really discussed that with you. I mean, I've got that little piece of information. It's from a fairly decent source, but I'm not sure how valid it is. That might be, their own conjecture at this stage. So, but it will be interesting to see. From my perspective, it would make sense. You release it to a few factions, because what really Games Workshop are trying to do is introduce true scale Marines, and they'll need to do that steady, because haven't they just reassured everybody their armies are still valid?
Yeah.
So imagine if all your Space Wolves suddenly look a foot too short.
They did it. I mean, the biggest upset that happened last time was the base size, wasn't it? When they changed 25mm to 32mm, there was a huge uproar on the internet with people losing it because they didn't want to have 32mm bases for the Space Marines. And Games Workshop just said, just keep them on whichever base you want. It doesn't matter. Keep them on 25 or upgrade them. It really does not make a difference. However, I think now if you have a look at your Space Marines on a 32mm base, how much more impressive do they look next to a guardsman on a 25? It doesn't look right on a smaller base, and the same goes with Necron Warriors. Having an update isn't necessarily a bad thing. It is an initial shock, and you get emotional about it, but afterwards it's the right way to go forwards.
Yeah. Moving on to the chat. How can I get the new rules? We're going to be making it easier and ever to get on to start playing. The core rules for the game will be free. You'll have several options how to get your hands on the full rule book. Watch this space. So again, this feels very much like going into this. How did we handle Sigmar? What worked? What didn't? What did work for Sigmar was zero barrier to entry. In other words, the rules are there. You already own the models. Get playing, guys. They had to do that because it was a shocking change. And I think the reality is that they're just repeating that because that's the bit that actually did work. I mean, I'm not going to pick the bones of Sigmar. I think too much over what did or didn't work. Mm-hmm. But, so come the launch of 8th edition, we've all got a bit of reading to do. Then we're going to try some games. Mike, I mean, how does that feel for you? Do you remember what it was like to wake up to Age of Sigmar?
Christmas.
When me and Sam were both at the shop, we were so excited about it. There was plenty of people that would come in and they weren't sure. It was, I'm not going to even go down that route. But it was amazing to have such a stark change, and it was a good change. I think that's probably what's going to happen with 40k. It's going to be a massive shock to anyone from just going from what they're used to something completely different. But then you have that every edition, something changes anyway. It just might be there's a slightly bigger change this time around.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember coming into the store, looking at the 4 pages of rules, and going, "Is this it? Is that it?" I was expecting a nice hefty rule book, having to sit down and have a proper read for all the rules before I can start playing. But it was literally a quick read of four pages of rules and getting cracking on straight with the game.
However, the rules for the armies. I mean, that was what was like Christmas for me when they did that update on that midnight launch or whatever it was, and I looked at every single army having an updated war scroll. I downloaded every single PDF and I don't think I slept that night. I think I just looked through every single war scroll, reading the rules, reading what was available, and then went into work the next day like buzzing because there was just so much. You know, when a new codex comes out and the internet goes crazy because it's a new codex and it's brand new. Imagine that with every single army. That's what Fantasy did, and imagine that now on a 40k scale with 40k fans. Imagine Orc players, die-hard Orc players, and Katie with a 3rd edition Dark Eldar playing it since there, waking up and having every single person having a new update on their army. It's going to be amazing for a lot of people. Some people won't like it.
But that's the other thing now is like if everything is on the same level for playing, and it's now people that have them weaker armies might be excited to be able to go out and play games now.
Yeah,
it's like finally I can actually use my army.
And the other thing as well, I was just going to jump in as well. Actually, is and I'll keep jumping in. But the veteran, a lot of people are put off going into stores because you go into some stores or you go into gaming clubs and there'll be the same sort of group of people that know the rules. They play it every week. They're updated. They're veterans of the game system. You get new people to 40k, or you get some that play different game systems, then they don't necessarily want to play against the veterans every single week that they want to go down to their club. However, if you've got some new rules dropped and everything's new, it's a good time to get everybody back into it and everybody enthused and new players into the system.
I mean, that's the thing isn't it? That's part of that change management stuff. Everybody's a beginner again, which is why, of course, you do get some people resisting that as well, because, people have not only invested money and time and effort, they've invested time and effort into tactics. And there was a great chat, wasn't there, on the Age of Sigmar, a great comment on the Age of Sigmar battle report you did, Sam, which was, haven't really bent my head around Age of Sigmar because it looks too random for me. I'm paraphrasing, by the way, so I hope you're listening into this at some point because I'd love to pick up this conversation with you. But basically said, I can't develop a battle plan because, I don't even know if I'm going to get the initiative on each turn. I don't know where I go first. It's too random. And I talked about that whole idea of you can't develop a waterfall methodology. Sorry, anybody who isn't into project management, you can't have this plan that starts at the beginning and finishes at the end and has logical steps along the way. You have to have an agile approach. You have to have a strategy that's been based around being flexible now, because you have to, like chess, be planning 5, 6, 7 moves ahead, but not in a linear sense. You've got to think about it is, well, this could happen next. I could get initiative. I might not get initiative. I could do this. I might not do that. And that makes it actually, strangely enough, what feels random actually adds
strategy,
depth and complexity to the strategy. And that's exciting for me. I hope, weirdly enough, they bring that into 40k. I hope that it's going to make me on my toes a little bit more.
That's what I love the most. It's the reaction side of strategy in Age of Sigmar. It's making a list which can react to changing of tactics, rather than planning it and playing a game and winning every single game the same way. You have to play your army in a reaction type way, rather than it's just a lot better for me. What do you think, Dave? Because you play very much the waterfall project management thing that Phil was talking about.
Well,
sorry guys, sorry.
Yeah, I do. I'm not going to lie, I absolutely do, especially playing Alpha Legion. It either happens or it doesn't.
Because when I play against you, Dave, it feels like you use rinse and repeat every single game that we play. It's the same. It's the same setup almost. We play a different a different board, and even if there isn't some scenery there, I think you've got into the habit of putting your units in the same sort of formation, regardless of what the battlefield is.
No, well, I just go for it, and I either stand back and shoot or I charge. That's the two things that are going to happen in a game.
There we are, folks.
If the one don't work, do the other.
Okay, I'm going to quickly have a look at chat, because we've had a few people leave, by the way, and good night to those. They may tune in and watch the rest of the video in the future. That's fine. So good night and welcome back. But there's a few people still here. Katie Hunter shouting out Becht. Great, absolutely right. Let's bring him back. Or at least let's see him on the board. Definitely, I'd like to see that. How great if it would be a small 10 or more page booklet for the main rules. I mean, the question is, can they get it down to 4? That feels like a challenge, but
I hope so, because then they can say, I don't know.
If they got the basics of the dynamics of the game in the 4, and then put the majority of the other rules in with each individual faction or army, then that could work a lot better, I suppose.
12 Neath. Well, now it's going to come down to true generalship, not special rules abuse. And I am so with you on this. There's been so many special rules and all the rest. I think we're probably unanimous on this. I mean, and this is the interesting thing. I think that probably time around, not only have Games Workshop learned from the errors in terms of how they handled Age of Sigmar, I actually think on an emotional and intellectual and enjoyment level,
and
40k players are in 40k players are in a different space to fantasy players. I think we were all needing this, weren't we? Surely, even if we might be a little bit apprehensive about where this is going to go. Don't we all need this? Caesar saying that is indeed one of the best things from Age of Sigmar, generalship. Rather than the kind of rules abuse. And I think it's true. The assumption that less rules meant less complexity, and back to that 25% of people who will block and resist change and will either never change or only when there's no other option, still sit there saying information that for all intents and purposes I feel is genuinely out of date now.
Where were we up to, by the way, in the FAQ? Because I had to go and move the rabbit out of the room because he was going crazy.
Have you dumbed down 40k? I think we've talked about that, so let's not get into that. I think we've, they're saying no, basically. What happens to my codexes? I think we've covered that, haven't we? We've sort of said it's a shame, but there's still value in there if you're a fluff.
Oh, they're encouraging as well. If you want to pick up any books for background and that sort of things, get it now because they're going to be gone. But they're always.
But the same time with the codexes though as well is if anyone tries 8th and they're not keen on it, they've still got their codexes that they can go and they can find someone to play 7th with still anyway. So there would be some use for them still.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What's in the new starter box? I mean, this is just cheeky, isn't it, in terms of the FAQ? But I mean, yes, it's fair enough to expect. Well, basically, they're just saying, "Ooh, there's new miniatures coming, so get excited, people."
Yeah.
Are you getting rid of points? Not at all. Yeah, definitely an Age of Sigmar.
That was one of the mistakes. Yeah, I mean, they've learned. Age of Sigmar was great as a tool for Games Workshop to look at a way to maybe change 40k without impacting 40k too far on. And looking on Facebook and looking around all the different social media on the reaction of 8th edition 40k, there's generally a lot more positivity, and I've seen a hell of a lot more wargamers now that are coming back or intending to come back to 40k now that there's this change coming in. And that was the opposite of what Age of Sigmar did. Everyone just stopped playing, burnt their armies, and then went and played different games. Lord Tattoo says he went and played different gaming systems, but I've seen the absolute opposite with the rumours for 40k now. It's people who haven't bothered with playing it for so many years are now coming back and trying it. Well, they will be trying it.
Can I just ask everybody who's viewing at the moment to give me a quick sort of line on the chat, really, if they've got time to, which is basically saying, which way of play do you think you'll employ in 40k? Do you think you'll move away from rules? Can you see yourself playing narrative? That's the question I'd like to ask. Because we play Sigmar, and even on a friendly scale, we always use the point system to help us balance the game, don't we?
Sorry, I'm just reading Andy 2D6's comment.
I've just read that as well, and that's maybe
We're going to have to read that out. Rumour has it that the little red occupied sign outside the Emperor's toilet cubicle has just changed to a green vacant sign.
Nathan Anderson as well, right at the top. He's just about to disappear off the chat for me. It says, in the picture, and we're talking about the new Supermarines here. Oh, trademark that one, Supermarines. In the picture, it was painted blue, so everyone assumed Ultramarine, but I think it's the return of Rainbow Warriors. You've just instantly dated yourself, Nathan. Thank you very much for that. And probably the rest of the chat group have no idea what you're talking about, but yes, it's bringing back Rainbow Warriors.
Let's quickly go over, actually. We've asked the guys in the chat what they are going to be interested in playing. Shall we go over in the Hangout what we are thinking of the most excited part? So we'll start with Dave. What are you most excited? Well, actually, we'll quickly go over because narrative obviously is story based. Match play is the points. What was the other one?
Match
open play.
open
Play, which is no points. Bring what you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dave, what are you going to be looking forward to playing most?
I suppose the one I'll play most will be matched, but the one I'll look forward to the most will definitely be narrative.
Okay.
Because I want to know what that's about.
Yeah.
Pink?
Like it.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what they do with narrative. But I think that I've always played matched. List building's a large part of what I enjoy about the hobby, so I think it's always going to be points for me.
Yeah, definitely. That's fair enough. Mike?
I think I'll do whatever my opponent wants to do, to be honest. I just enjoy playing. That's the thing with me, is that if you want to do it no points, do whatever you want, we'll do it. You want to do points, then we'll go with that.
Next time you're on mine, we'll play marbles.
Just for everybody who's tuning in, I was chatting to Mike and Sam earlier while they were playing a computer game. I don't quite understand these computer games, but Mike always ends up being the healer. So I think that you just.
Mike is, like, genuinely, out of all the people that I play games with, no offense to everyone I play games with, but Mike is my favourite opponent because they're just so much fun. Playing games with him as well, it's so much fun because he'll always play the thing that nobody else wants to do. We play Warcraft as well in the past, and it's like Mike would happily go off and be a healer. He doesn't, he plays the mage, but he would quite happily be the healer if that's what the group needs. He's so selfless, it's brilliant. Phil, what are you looking forward to? Go on.
I'm interested in narrative play. I really am. I'm excited by that, and I'm going to caveat that even if the narrative dictates that I lose, as long as it dictates to me an interesting loss. That's the thing, and I think that's the test for anybody who says I'm interested in narrative play. What happens if you're on the losing side? Mm-hmm. And I'll just caveat: we already play that at home. I've talked about I play Tyranids against gun lines. And the point of the game is not whether I can win; it's how long I can survive for, and that in itself is
till when you quit.
Yeah. Well,
you can't predict. This is one thing Phil does: is Phil predicts a game how long it's going to last, and then quits at that turn, and then goes, "I got it right." Yes, Phil.
You know what? That has never once happened, but it's a great story.
It happened.
We'll use that in
It
future.
happened. I think we've got video
okay.
evidence.
Moving on.
Steve, what are you most looking forward to?
Well, like I think I'm the same as Mr. Pink. Is I'm going to be playing probably a lot more matched, but story and the narrative side is going to be probably more exciting, regardless if it's win or lose.
Yeah, I can't see that, to be honest. Right, I'm not gonna hide anything. I'm really looking forward to matched play. I have to play points for me to want to play the game. In terms of narrative, I'm going to do that with the army building side of things. I'm going to build my army to look pretty, and I might build the army list around some sort of theme. However, I'm not going to go in and say I'm making a narrative list because I like points. What are you shaking your head at, Phil? I'm being honest.
Nothing. Yeah, I know. Well, if you were being absolutely honest, you'd say you're gonna cruise through everything and identify the filthiest army and back it.
No, okay. Chaos is the army I'm looking at now. We'll see if I change my mind. We'll see what they release. I have got better. I have got better at losing games. It just happens that I haven't lost recently. That's the only test that we've not had, and that's because everybody else doesn't know their rules.
I think there's a great litmus test for the true narrative. There's a great litmus test for the true narrative player now. Would you go out and buy a new army right now, tomorrow?
Yeah.
Just based on whether you like the models, because that's what a narrative player would base it on. They'd say, you know what, forget whether this is going to be a competitive army or not. I've always enjoyed Deathwatch. But I've not played them because they weren't competitive, or I've always enjoyed orcs, but I've not played them, so I'm going to go out and buying orcs tomorrow.
I think we should say that now as well. Anybody who wants to join in with this tale of warlords, all of you lot on that hangout, if you're banging on about narrative, pick your army today. Tell us what army you're going to be doing. Put it on the group, and we'll see how many people stick with that. Because I'm not going to do that. I've said chaos, but I'm definitely going to have a quick look before I invest in an army, because match play is more important. We're going to go through the chat one more time.
Yeah,
because
of course we did ask a question, didn't we? What would everybody go with? So let's just. Oh, Brad, I think where are we now? I'm trying to find the top of it now.
Do you want me to go for it?
Yeah, go for it, Sam.
So Al Woods, I've always played points well for 35 years. Caesar's put narrative with points. John Booth has put, for a pickup game, points will always be the go-to method of play, which is, again, the Age of Sigmar. It was difficult to play open play with a new, pickup game. If you didn't know your opponent, it was difficult. So Kiblams has put narrative.
Sam.
I like. Go on. What?
Sorry, just to say, I think you missed 3 answers as well. There was Caesar at the very top that said narrative. The Johnson Age said match points, and there was a Brad Lever, which I've not seen your name before. So welcome to the chat. Thank you for joining in. Which was all of them.
Yep.
Great.
Okay.
Good round gaming.
Kiblams, I like narrative, but I like points for balance. Green Stuff's put, I've got to go to bed. Long weekend and I want to go to bed.
That's fair enough.
Jacob Getty, another new person. I've not seen you before. Welcome to the channel. Narrative with points. Tabletop War Games, open play and narrative for me. The Neanderthal, I could see myself playing narrative, but quite sure 99.9% of my future games will be with points, because most of my opponents want to be competitive. So you're very much like Mike. You'll play against whatever your opponent does. Nathan Anderson, as appealing narrative play is, it would take some impressive game tech to pull me away from match play. Yep, so that's my thinking on it, to be honest. 12 Neef, matched and narrative. It's interesting there's not many open play. Maybe that's something that I didn't like open play, because it's even if you want to balance the game, it's very difficult to balance without points.
Well, there's a few words missing in the words of open and play, isn't it? Which is for abuse.
Yes, it's true.
It's open for abuse play, you know.
but the open play is good for anyone that's new to the hobby. That it's
true.
Pick off the shelf, buy something off the shelf, whatever you want. You're not burdened by then. You can only take so many of these, or it costs this much. I want to use that model. Mm-hmm. Open play, you can do that.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Good point.
Keep going through these as well. 12 Neef, I love the Path to Glory for Chaos. I want one for Orcs, and I'm gonna say it now. 99.9% sure. Path to Glory is going to be a major part of 8th edition, because they've put it into Age of Sigmar. The Karajon Overlord book. Did you go through that on your unboxing yesterday or the day before?
Yes, it's amazing, and I was going through it again with Jack this afternoon. I am so excited about that. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that, because we've kind of been discussing all of this. But Sam, we need to stay up all night and talk. It's exciting stuff.
Okay, and depending on what they do with these new, with the 8th edition release, if they start with a Path to Glory campaign for every army, that is what we will do, I think, for the channel. We will probably play Path to Glory, because, especially for the people who are we're starting new armies. So no one's got the excuse of saying, oh, I haven't got the models. Well, you're playing a new army, we're going to roll for it, it's going to be exciting. And then we can add units to that afterwards. But Path to Glory is such a great way of building an army. And you can then do your narrative and your open play actually a lot easier than you can with normal. What else have we got? James is gone. See you later. Oh, he went off earlier. He's had to go to sleep. This is the only thing with us doing a late show. I don't mind, but obviously a lot of people need to go to sleep. We've got a lot of new viewers, so I'm wondering if there's a lot more people from America and Canada and where. So pop in the comments actually where you're from. It'll be interesting to see. Rachel's put points for me. Love building a list.
Yeah, we know, Rachel. We know. Proper math hammer.
Neanderthal, I would never buy a model I don't like, even how good the rules were, or always bought the cool models, no matter how much they sucked in the game. That's something I can definitely agree with. Now with Age of Sigmar, everything has a use in the game, I feel. Every single unit has a use, so you can pick an army and pick the models you like, rather than worrying about the rules too much, because every army will work. I think you were saying the same, Mike, weren't you? With your Skaven army.
What's that, sorry?
You pick the models you like from Skaven and put them into your army, because every Skaven model can be used, and it's just a matter of you choosing which ones you like and how you want to play the game from them.
Well, yeah, that was always the thing I'd like to try and do when building lists and stuff, is that they all sort of fit a theme. Mm-hmm. It was the one thing I never got to do with Fantasy in 8. I wanted to do a White Lions army, but couldn't do it. So I always lean towards. I'm going to put it out there. With my Wraith army, I had Wraiths before they were filled, and I've always said it is a themed army because that was the route I was going down before I even got into rules properly and all that sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. And we know what you like anyway. You're a great gamer, so we know that you're not lying. It's fine. We'll quickly go through some more of this, then we'll carry on with the FAQ, and then we'll get to the map, because we'll wrap it up fairly soon, I think, unless there's loads of people who want to carry on talking. We might do a second show. We won't. Right, we have John Snater started Chaos when they weren't competitive because of conversion opportunities. Yes, that's again, same as Mike, the modelling aspect, not the gaming. Modelling. Jacob Getty's put squats. Caesar's put, I only play open play when I'm teaching the game, and that's what you were saying, Mike. New players, getting new people into the game, it's a great way to do it. Brad Lever's put painting Caradron right now. Yeah, another Caradron player. Yeah, I feel like
I'm with you. I'm with you.
Captain Common Sense 1, welcome. We've not seen you before. Thank you for watching. Canada. So we're going to go through where people are from. Canada. Caesar's from Puerto Rico. Matt Harris, another one we've not seen. Welcome. New Zealand. Brad Lever, Canada. 12 Neath, where are you all located in Europe? I would love to play one or all of you when I go back. We are all located in the same small area in the UK, aren't we? Warwickshire.
Which is right in the middle, Shakespeare's birthplace. So look him up. And you would be welcome, by the way.
Yeah, if anybody does want to play games, we'll organise it. We can even film some for the channel, maybe. We'll see what happens. Al Woods, Birmingham. That's not far at all, Al. That's literally around the corner.
That's literally on my doorstep.
Yeah. Eldon Nardo, hopefully vehicles get toughness and wounds. Yep, I'm with you on that. I know Phil's not, but...
No, I'm coming round, Sam. After looking at the Caradron Overlords book, it works. I get it now.
Yeah.
I just had a little bit of I don't get this. It's change. I'm worried.
Actually, talking about that, the Caradron Overlords, if they do transports in the same way that they've done with the Caradron Overlords, that would be really good, I think, for me. The overburdened rule, where you can have 10 Caradron guys in one of their airships. For every one that you have over that limit, your vehicle moves 1 inch less. And you've got certain rules which are ignored. So, like, heroes aren't part of that overburden rule. So you can have, let's put this into 40k, you could have a Rhino with 10 tactical marines and chuck in a chaplain or a librarian or something like that, and you're still going to move at the normal pace. However, if you put 15 tactical marines into there, you're going to be moving 5 inches less every turn. And I really like the dynamic of that and the way that you can... Were you
guys on the live chat, were you guys aware of that sort of change in terms of the Caradron transport rules? Matt, let's start with Matt.
Yeah, I saw that one. I didn't realise that the independent character guys didn't count towards it, though, which I think is quite interesting. makes me wonder whether you could abuse that a little bit. But
Like
you
20
probably have to.
independent characters.
Also in the chat as well, right? I keep getting mixed up between Hangout and chat. I'm going to say Hangout for the 6 of us on here and chat for
Sorry.
everybody in the chat room. Everybody else in the chat, if you have any information or if you got any feedback on the rules for transports, put that in there as well, because it'd be interesting to see what you think. Turrican, I feel they may be about to wed narrative to competitive via points costed theme formation. Yeah, same as Age of Sigmar. Turrican, welcome. We've not seen you before. Gracie, yeah, I would buy Karajan Overlords if their boxes were not under-equipped. This is one thing.
Yeah.
I've
seen that comment. I'm trying to unpick that one. I went back through the box. I think you mentioned it on the unboxing. I went back through that box. All 3 heavy weapons are in the box, but I'm assuming you're referencing they haven't provided 3 of each heavy weapon. Or am I completely misunderstanding you? In which case, either comment below or we'll pick that up inside the video chat.
No,
as well.
I think you've got it there, Phil. I think I've seen a lot of people complain about that.
So you haven't got multiples of each heavy weapon yet?
No.
I mean, I fully expect to buy 3 boxes, and I'm a bit of a nutter for wanting all the options, even if one's better than the other. Because, let's take Kurnoff Hunters. Even though everybody takes the archers, I've actually got a unit of the axe and a unit of the sword.
Until you decided you wanted to change 3 of them to another unit of archers after realising how good they were, is that?
Yeah, but you know what? I took them out of the box, put them on the side. They went back in the box about 2 weeks ago, Sam. So
too many jobs to do. I'm going to agree with that. You know, when Skitarii were released, you only got 1 of each special weapon, I think, or you only got enough to do. You didn't get enough to do the squad, and I think they've taken exactly the same stance with Karajan Overlords, which I feel is a little bit annoying. I can understand where Grace here is coming from that, because I had to buy 3 Skitarii boxes to then do 3 separate squads of Skitarii Rangers with the extra special weapons. And
but I benefited so much from your spares box that day, so I don't mind.
So I can definitely, Grace here, I can definitely understand the frustration on that. It is a little bit, they could probably fit it on the sprue.
I understand your comment now. Sorry, I didn't reply straight away on the YouTube, the video that we did. It's just I didn't quite understand it, and I was driving at the time, so I didn't have the box in front of me. But I get it now, and I appreciate your concern.
Mm-hmm.
Australia.
Shall we go through? Oh, another one.
33k dog. Australia. Is that right? Have I jumped to 2?
No, that's fine.
12 is Birmingham.
Yeah,
we've got Denmark, Missouri, USA. Neve 12 saying, let's meet up at Warhammer World. Yeah, we could do. That's a lovely central location. Match Play coming in from Eldonado. Great name, by the way. I like that one. Reminds me of Sharknado for some reason. I don't know why.
Because we talked about it at the beginning.
Match Play. Oh, is it? Sorry.
I said Sharknado.
I did say it's quite late. 12 Neve, love the Karajan transport rules. It should be the same for Space Marines. They're big and heavy. They should slow their vehicles. I like that. That's a good idea. Wouldn't that be interesting as well? Of sort of that because there's a mechanic, isn't there, for bulky and very bulky. Whether that would have an impact of what they're transporting.
Or it'd just be counts as 2 models, 3 models, like it is now, but it'll be on the ability sheet rather than in the main rules. Again, you just have the one sheet in front of you with cards, beautiful cards. Do the last one. Caesar's put, I'd love transports for the rest of the armies in Age of Sigmar. That is one of the things that really attracts me to 40k jets and tanks. And I think that's where you're going to get a bit more of the differentiation between 40k and Age of Sigmar. I think everything in 40k has transports, and there isn't necessarily so many armies in Age of Sigmar that has that.
I mean, it's interesting. We're spending a lot of time talking about Sigmar, but I think everybody on the chat probably understands the parallels we're drawing here. Games Workshop have lived through this. We've lived through this as gamers, so we're all obviously going to make these kind of comparisons. But apologies. Let's turn our attention to 40k a little bit more. Back to the FAQs. Why should I trust you? My favorite answer of the FAQ. Come on! ! This is the new Games Workshop trademark, and I love the fact that they are comfortable with a sense of humor. I mean, how for those of us who remember Games Workshop of old, I've really missed Games Workshop having a sense of humor, and it's fantastic it's back.
And being so open as well, and just being able to chat to them, meet to them.
It does feel like Games Workshop has took a step towards being more involved with their customers, more involved with the community. Because I remember that they used to be quite cold-faced and, You know, they
I
didn't
don't
listen.
remember they were
It
cold
was-
faced. I just think you wasn't able to get the feedback that you get now. You wasn't able to engage with Games
Yeah.
Workshop, and the main thing is they've, rather than sitting behind a door and not responding, they now open the door, open the windows, and they're talking to everybody about stuff, which is a great way to go forwards with the community. They're better off.
I think I know what you mean, though. I mean, I know what Steve means. It was
Yeah.
like a one-way relationship, wasn't it? You know, that's what it felt like.
You buy the
with
models,
Yeah,
and whatever changed, that was it.
Yeah, it was just it felt like it was just a shop. That was it.
Yeah.
Whereas now, it's definitely took a step more towards being more of a community with the Warhammer community page and all that kind of stuff, and the fact that they are releasing rules in response to feedback from all the players. So,
Well, an FAQ on the day of the announcement has to be the biggest sign of change in GW. They knew straight away, when we make the announcement, people will have some pretty important questions. So let's answer it now. They could guess the primary FAQs. Just on that one, where can I find out more? We'll be running daily articles on the run up to the release of Community, and we'll come on to the map in a little bit, but well, soon actually, because I'm sure we're running a lot longer than we expected.
Yeah, we'll go off soon.
I love it. I want it. When can I have it? Really soon. You'll be playing the new Warhammer 40,000 this year. We'll let you know when you have more news on the exact dates they posted. Sam, when you were chatting to Duncan on Saturday, did you not ask him this? I can't believe he wouldn't have told you anything. But it was worth a shot, wasn't it? What to do now? Now's the time to start getting your army ready. I mean, this is that real lean toward narrative, because I know a few people will definitely be saying, let's wait. But, you know, yeah, I think I'll be probably trying to pre-build a few things for this. Why not?
Last bit in the chat, we'll just go through actually. Neanderthals got a... Oh no, Clay Dog will go through. If they give transport wounds / toughness, how will that work with all my poison weapons in my DE army? I don't think it's going to be long. I think they'll balance it. They're not going to just make it completely exempt and say, yeah, your army rule doesn't work anymore. I mean, you might be able to destroy them quicker, I don't know, but I doubt it. I think they'll have some sort of rule in place. Neanderthals, but one of my favourite models is the Forge World Ripper Swarm models. I have 40, hope I can play with them in 8th edition, and I can pretty much guarantee you can. What was the models we saw of Warhammer World recently then, Phil, that we said were amazing?
Yeah, Ripper Swarms.
And they were removed off the
I-
website, weren't they, at one point? And we thought they'd gone, and we saw them again.
Yeah, they're there.
We have... people saying the new GW, Kablams, the new GW isn't so encouraging. Grace it in 40k, everything costs points, so it's a little bit more bearable. In AOS, there's no upgrade cost. I think that might have been tweaked into the upgrade cost or the actual cost of the unit. They work quite closely now with tournament organisers and podcasts, and a lot of people who know the tournament side of the game now, and I think they come up with the points cost based on what upgrades things have and what is available to them. Pink, you're very much on the rule side of things. What would you say about the points cost of a unit and the upgrades that you can get with them? Do you think it's balanced, or do you think that they just chuck the upgrade on, we haven't thought about it?
No, I think that what they've done is they've made everything, they've tried to make it much more equal, so there's not one option which is just blatantly better than the rest. When you're trying to redo the rules, it gives you a bit of a chance to do that. I think the one that's really going to affect it here is actually the armor save modifiers. So it's no longer like either you've got a plasma gun and you can kill a Terminator, or you don't, and he's probably going to save all his wounds. Mm-hmm. Actually, every gun might have a role now, so maybe the options are more balanced.
Yeah, definitely. And that's not a bad thing.
Pink, no, and that's an interesting thing. I remember having a debate recently where I was firmly on the fence of I don't like everything can wound everything. And I have to say, after that wonderful debate we had where Pink definitely proved me wrong, along with Sam, of course, shouting at me. But I'm with that now. I can see a situation where 1,000 guardsmen all peeping away with their flashlights would eventually chip away a Terminator armor and destroy him. It would just happen eventually, wouldn't it? The paint would go first, the lacquer, and then the outer layer, and then the inner layer, and then the inner pipes, and eventually just a little bit of light would leak through to the marine and blind him. So I get it now. I get it. It's
I like the idea that you could represent it. You shot you shot a bit of rubble and that fell on the Space Marine and killed it. You can't kill the Space Marine armor, but you can bury him in buildings. I think that we did that
Okay.
in D&D once, didn't we, Pete? Rather than killing the goblins in the building, we used some sort of magical thing to destroy the building around it and crumble it all over the goblins. It can happen. Right, let's keep going. Turrican, how open do you think they'll be with the live FAQs tomorrow? I think very open. We're looking at new GW where they're being as open as possible.
Yeah.
Right, so 12 Neef, I really enjoy these chats, live chats. It's rare I get to do them with the time difference, so please do one or so on the weekend so I can partake more often. We're definitely looking at this, and in the comments afterwards, if people are watching this when it's been live, if you have certain time zones and things, or just let us know when you are available, and we will base when we can come on around that. I think sometimes we'll mix it up, we'll do different days, we'll do different times as well.
We'll try. I think maybe the difference we need to is try and give a little bit more warning. So if you guys are and girls are following us on the Facebook page or on the YouTube channel, we'll try and give some notice if we're going to do, for want of a better word, out of hours live broadcast, because I think it is important that we try and catch everybody, and not many of us actually sleep much anyway, so we might as well go online and chat to a few people. I've really enjoyed this.
I could do 24-hour streams on YouTube, so if people want to see me 24 hours while I'm editing, I'll just have it in the background chatting away. I won't, but I'll do my best and do as much as I possibly can, because I actually love doing live chats now. They're brilliant. It's great just chatting to people rather than just talking to Mike every day.
Do it for charity,
Okay.
Sam.
I'm joking, Mike. I love you. Do it for charity. Do 24-hour live wargaming chats for charity.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Oh no, look, we've got more. Caesar, it's like that scene in RoboCop. It definitely is. I forgot about that. Eldonado, they should have a difference between Terminator armor and artificer armor. They should. They definitely should, and they probably will. Well, let's cross our fingers and hope for a difference. Gebhard Leberecht von Blucher. I love that name. I probably killed it in the pronunciation, but that is awesome. Should I go downstairs and make tea? I would say no. We're about to go off. However, you could always go back to our other content. We've got loads of chats. We've got loads of content that we've been working really hard on creating. Just put a playlist on and sit and listen to our nonsense.
I'll go downstairs and make a cup of tea and hit pause, because the rest will still be here.
Yeah. But all content.
And tea's pretty important, I think tea's pretty
Stay
important.
hydrated. The Neanderthal, please talk more about those new Space Marines. I always thought Space Marines were too weak in the game, as in the novels they are super elite. Yeah, I mean, that's something we were talking about quite often. I think all of us agree that the Horus Heresy novels especially point these Space Marines out to being almost like killing those 1,000 Imperial Guardsmen without dying, but in the game it's not like that.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, if you're referring back to what I was talking about earlier, I don't have a huge amount of information, and it was just the idea that there definitely is going to be new Space Marines. They are going to be, a kind of an elite. These weren't the exact words. I'm paraphrasing, and I need to really manage space. They're an elite Marine. They are halfway between a custodian and a Marine. They're an improvement upon them, because we're seeing an Imperium that wants to, led by Guilliman, that wants to get back into expansionism, no longer want to be trapped and fighting on all fronts. We need to take the fight back out to the galaxy. We need to purge the Xenos. We need to eradicate chaos. We need to fight again. And he's looking around at the army, the armies he's in charge of, and realizes he needs something new. And the was given was not all chapters will accept these new hybrid super marines, but I don't really have any more information than that, and I can't even 100% guarantee the validity of it. Mm-hmm. So I think it makes sense, because I said, I think there's a couple of points. One, it enables them to introduce true scale marines gently, and they can be true to their word then on the FAQ, where things are still valid. Your Space Wolf army is still perfectly valid. Your models are still perfectly valid. And you know what, guys, if you collect Space Marines, just stick them on a little bit of extra cork. It lifts them up a bit anyway, makes them look taller. It works.
Gillen Marines, are we going to do the map, or should we leave that for another one? We'll probably do another video in the next few days. We'll see what GW does. If people are liking these chats anyway, we may do them more often. We'll go over more stuff then.
Sam, I'm thinking if we're doing, let's we'll see, unless something significant happens in the next sort of 24 hours in terms of the announcement, then it's worth us dialing back in. Maybe what we could do on Wednesday, and I'm saying this without even discussing it with you, is we do the sort of UK hour one, and then we do a bit of a late night chat to maybe go over some of that, and then talk to some more of the people who are just coming online at that point.
So we do an 8 o'clock UK time live chat as normal, where we talk about Salute and other topics. So if you've got any questions for that, put it in the comments after this goes through, and then afterwards we may do a live late chat as well. That sounds brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant. Right, so we'll close up. Thank you everyone in the Hangout, the 5 of you for joining me on this one.
I have one more point of business, Sam.
Come on then.
I have one more point of business.
That needs to go to bed, he says, and then carries on.
I know, it's 36 minutes past midnight. Our current subscriber level on YouTube is 933. So officially, I owe you £50.
That is awesome. So
for those people who have joined us for the first time, myself and Sam had a bet that we would make 1,000 subscribers by midnight on Sunday UK time. And you know what? I'm not sure I ever said UK time.
No, you owe me £50.
I just said midnight Sunday. Quickly on the chat, who's got the earliest time of day for Sunday? Because I want to know how many more hours I've got.
You've got no more hours. Let's round up. Right, thank you everyone in the chat for joining us. It's great to see so many new faces. Thank you everyone who's liked this video already. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and a massive thank you to everyone who's gone over to the wargameronline.com website. It's something we're working really hard on to improve, put all of our content on, and we've got the premium membership. That's the only thing we're doing currently to try and pay for me and everybody else to get on with content, and we're doing a lot of work. We're creating a lot of content. We're not having much sleep, and we appreciate everybody who has paid for a premium subscription and has accessed all of that extra content that we've done. We've got loads more coming. Phil, stop it. Stop trying to get the 1,000 subscribers.
It's 7:30 in the US.
Not a chance. That's it. We're done. Thank you everyone who has subscribed. We're going to have credits. We will see you all on Wednesday. If we don't see you before, if there's something dramatic, we'll definitely get back online. In the meantime, check out all the content. We'll do some more videos, and have a very good evening, morning, or whatever it is for you right now. And we'll see you all in the very near future. Goodbye.
Cheers, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.